Okay, so right now, Argentina is in the middle of one of the boldest, most audacious economic experiments happening anywhere in the world. You've got its president, Javier Milei, a self-proclaimed anarcho-capitalist betting the farm on cryptocurrency to fix decades of financial chaos. So, is this a stroke of genius or just a really, really risky gamble? Let's dive in and see what's actually going on. This right here. This was President Milei's victory cry after a really surprising result in the country's midterm elections. And it's such a bold statement, you know? It perfectly captures this massive shift that's happening in Argentine politics, a shift that's put crypto front and center in their whole economic recovery plan. And this number, 101, is exactly why that statement carries so much weight. I mean, to put this in perspective for you, his party, La Libertad Avanza, leaped from just 37 seats all the way up to 101 in the lower house of Congress. That's nearly tripling their power, which gives him a much, much stronger hand to push his pretty radical agenda forward. So let's break down what this shock midterm win really means. This wasn't just some small victory, you guys. This was a political earthquake. It has completely redrawn the map leading up to the 2027 presidential election. Getting over 40% of the national vote, that was a massive turnaround. And for investors watching all this, that number is a huge signal. With more power in Congress, there's way less fear that Milei's aggressive market overhaul could just stall out. It's basically a green light for his whole austerity and reform agenda. But to really get why Argentinians would vote for such a radical change, you have to understand the crisis that has been haunting the country for generations. I'm talking about crippling runaway inflation. And wow, this chart, this just perfectly illustrates the impact Milei's policies have had. Just look at it. Since he took office, his shock therapy approach has sent the annual inflation rate plummeting. It went from a mind-boggling peak of nearly 290% all the way down to just under 32%. For a country that's just used to seeing prices spiral out of control, this is absolutely monumental. But, and this is a big but, that achievement has come at a very steep price. These austerity measures have a real human cost. You've got fiscal tightening and deregulation that have led to a sharp rise in the cost of living, growing unemployment, and really painful cuts to essential subsidies, things like electricity and public transport. And that's hitting the country's most vulnerable people the hardest. So what's the long-term fix here? Well, this brings us to the very core of Milei's vision, a full-blown crypto experiment. The idea is to offer an alternative to a currency, the peso, that has completely lost the people's trust. And listen, this hasn't just been talk. The administration has moved incredibly fast. As you can see on this timeline, they kicked things off by legalizing the use of Bitcoin in contracts. Then, they set up a clear regulatory framework for crypto service providers. And they even approved the trading of US Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. Every single one of these steps is a deliberate move toward deeper and deeper integration. But just as all this momentum was building, the entire project got thrown under a dark cloud by a major controversy, the Libra token scandal. So has it all been a smooth ride? Oh, not even close. The path has been incredibly rocky, and one scandal in particular really put the president's judgment directly under the microscope. The whole thing started with just a single post on X where President Milei gave a shout-out to a little-known crypto project called Libra. What happened next was, well, a textbook example of the wild, crazy volatility in this space. Within hours of his post, the token's price just collapsed by a jaw-dropping 94%. I mean, the market cap briefly shot up to over $4 billion before completely crashing to zero, sparking all these allegations of market manipulation and wiping out tons of small investors along the way. And the political fallout from this? It was immediate, and you can actually measure it. According to the polling firm Zuban Córdoba, Milei's approval rating took a pretty significant hit. It dropped from over 47% before the whole incident to just over 41% after. It's clear that public trust was definitely shaken. Now, for his part, President Milei defended what he did. He claimed he had zero intention of promoting the token as an investment, saying, he was merely spreading the word about a project. But the damage to his credibility, that kind of lingered. But here's where it gets really interesting. Despite the scandal, the administration didn't back down. Nope. In fact, they doubled down on their vision of turning Argentina into a regional crypto hub. And the thing is, the foundation for this is already there. A 2025 Chainalysis report shows Argentina is already a huge player. They rank 20th in the world for crypto adoption and second in all of Latin America. And with nearly $94 billion in transaction volume in just 1 year, this is not a niche market.
But this one tells you the real story behind that volume. It's the why. Why are people using crypto? Well, over 60% of all transactions are in stablecoins. Those are cryptos designed to hold a steady value, usually by being pegged to the US dollar. So this isn't about wild speculation for them. For everyday Argentinians, it's about a desperate search for stability. It's a way to protect their savings from the peso, which is constantly losing value. And all this grassroots adoption, combined with the government's official push, is attracting the biggest names in the industry. Argentina has signed cooperation agreements with El Salvador, and major exchanges like Coinbase and Bybit have officially set up shop in the market. That's a huge signal of growing international confidence.
Which brings us right back to the big question at the end of the day. Argentina is at a crossroads. On one hand, you have a leader who's actually tackling hyperinflation with this radical, tech-forward vision. But on the other hand, you have the incredible volatility and risk that just comes with the crypto world. So will this bold experiment finally break Argentina's cycle of economic crisis? Or will it just lead the nation down an even more unpredictable path? I guess only time will tell.